runs like a normal house all year round, and it's cheaper. It was cheaper to build. 50 grand they wanted to connect to the grid for electric. Then you get the bonus of a bill every month. The weird thing is we're here living like this because we couldn't afford a real house in a real place on grid. I think the biggest problem for everybody that's thinking about this sort of life is
Alright guys, welcome back to another Liveration video. Today we're meeting up with Paul, who's built his own house fully off-grid.
It's absolutely incredible what he's done there, so definitely stick around for the tour. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments what you think. Back to it.
My name's Paul. I live here in North Devon, quite rurally, in a little kind of small holding that we've built, which is completely off-grid. I've always lived in the countryside. My grandparents were farmers, my mum was a farmer's daughter, my dad was a builder, and kind of grew up playing in the woods, messing about. As kind of life moved on, I got older. I rented houses in the countryside in little villages with mates. Eventually, I got married and had children and had to grow up. We ended up buying all we could afford, which was a tiny little old Victorian house. It was a badly converted one-bedroom house that had been turned into a three-bedroom house. And I used to call the house the chicken coop because that's how I felt, like I was this little chicken and everyone was watching my every move. I was an antiques dealer and we had a shop in the town where I was living. We started looking for a property that we could all live in as a family, my wife and two children and two dogs, that would have a little bit of outdoor space, wasn't overlooked by anyone necessarily, and had like an outbuilding where I could turn it into a bit of a showroom and sell my antiques from home. And as we started looking, we realised that we weren't going to be able to afford anything. And then one night, my mum texted me, and she just texted me this link on Facebook to a chap who was selling his land. It's 15 acres of land. It's got a stream at the bottom. The field was a wildflower meadow, 7-acre field. 8 acres of mixed kind of woodland, had a spring, fresh water. Yeah, it was a no-brainer for us really, and it was £140,000 is what we paid for it, which for that amount of freedom, considering our tiny one-bedroom, badly converted three-bedroom house in South Molton was going to sell for 225, that was like a pretty good swap really. I can remember banging my head against a wall when I was trying to talk to EDF about they're overcharging us for stuff, and then like trying to talk to South West Water to tell them that, yeah, I know I haven't paid my bill because I can't afford my bill, but I am going to pay it. And then just like the endless backwards and forward phone calls with kind of the on-grid energy people, that used to drive me insane, and that's just completely gone. Once you've lived off grid for a while, like you would never want to live on grid again. Like it is so much easier just for the fact that you haven't got to deal with their bullshit. It literally drives people into the ground, I think. You know, if everything's all going well, work's going well, kids are happy, everyone's got their health, like it's fine, and you just kind of deal with it and you pay it. But then as soon as like someone falls ill or you fall behind or you lose your job, then that's when it starts to drag people down. And you know, I know people that have just been at their wits' end, and these companies that are providing your electric, your water, your gas, they couldn't give a shit. You know, they don't care that you're struggling. So it's 15 acres in total, 7 acres of meadow, which is now broken into 3 paddocks and a garden, and then 8 acres of woodland with the stream for a border. Yeah, so this is the house we built in the end. Pretty simple. Me and a mate who I've known since primary school. He's a very talented carpenter. Built it in panels in the back field to a design that was drawn up by a friend of mine. We lifted it all into place with my neighbour's digger and then screwed tin sheets on the roof. It was so simple. We started the build the beginning of June 2020 and we moved in October. Although it's a modern look, it does kind of really does fit into the environment. You look at it from across the valley and you hardly know it from a cowshed. This is our garden, yeah. So this year we've planted a load of apple trees. We've got some black currants growing there. There's plum and apple trees. So that shed down there, that was the site. You can just see like falling down solar panel behind the basketball. That was our only solar when we lived down there in the caravan. It was a real nice little spot actually. It's sheltered. So we got that water tank there. That was an old honey tank from the honey farm, but we just use it as like a swimming pool now. So in the summer, me and the kids just sitting there. And then we got the barn. So this is like the second most important building on site other than the house. We put the solar on the roof of the barn. So in the middle compartment there, we got a generator that backs up the solar in the winter when there's not much light, and we do harvest rainwater off this into some IBCs at the back. They just get used mainly for animal drinking water when we run low in the summer. We got the, I think they're 47 kilo, the gas cylinders that we use for cooking and doing water. We were going to do back boilers off the wood burner and have some fancy setup to put radiators in all the rooms and everything else. Just was going to work out too expensive with the plumbing. So we just decided to get a cheap gas boiler and use gas for the cooker and the boiler. We use like one of those every 6 months, so 2 a year. And I think like they're about 90 quid each. So that's 180 quid on gas a year. And then we've got the 10,000 litre rain storage tank. So that takes all the water off the front of the house, comes down the gutters, into like a homemade filter. All the water that goes into there then goes into the house where it is then filtered again and then put through the infrared filter. We don't drink it, so it is really just kind of for washing up, flushing loos and stuff like that, showering. 10,000 litres does go a long way, especially when you ration all your family's water. This was here when we got here. The guy that was living in the caravan and his dad installed this and they did a really good job. They found 2 springs in the woods that are potential and then they picked the strongest one. What happens is the water's gravity fed down through this pipe into the first barrel. It's filtered through stones into this barrel and then comes out the bottom of this barrel into this barrel, which then got filter sand in it. So that filters all the way down through the sand, back out and then into this storage tank. And then from there straight down to the house, and that's what we drink. So like I got this theory that water kind of really connects you to the land. So we've been here now 6 years and all I've ever drunk, even when I went to kind of weddings and stuff, I took my own water from here because it's all I drink now, which is a bit weird. But I think like we're drinking water that comes out the hill. We're heating the home from firewood, which comes from the hill. We eat goats and sheep and deer and pheasants that have all kind of fed from the hill the whole time, like, and surely the makeup of your body, like as cells reproduce or whatever, is made up of everything that goes into you. So surely you like become part of the hill over time, and then like you get so weirdly connected that you don't want to go anywhere else. And you just kind of become part of the hill. You got to be careful not to go mad and start overthinking all this sort of stuff, but living so close to the earth and getting everything out of the earth around you and kind of caring for it carefully and becoming part of it, you do like accidentally become a pagan, like completely. You see stuff that normally you wouldn't see and you feel energies and all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure like kind of the intuition you get as a human is no different to like the swallows that come all the way from Africa to here to the same nest. Like, they haven't got a sat nav or anything like that, but we couldn't do it. But then thousands of years ago, surely we must have had loads of these different intuitions and these different kind of, this different knowledge bank that we haven't got today. And I think like living a more primitive, earthy kind of lifestyle, drinking your own spring water and not filtering it too heavily and all that sort of stuff does kind of take you back there. That's my theory anyway. But basically it's a barrel in the ground where the spring kind of bubbles up, and then all you have to do, every now and again you'll get quite a bit of sludge, and I just clear it out. So it's only muddy because I just stirred up all the stuff to get out the silt, but by the time that gets down the end, goes through the filters, it'll be completely clean. Yeah, but yeah, that's where the spring bubbles out the ground. Yeah, so the pipe, there's just this black alkaphene pipe, runs from the spring box all the way down through the woods, comes out by the 3 barrels. It's just gravity fed. This is our rifle range. So me and a mate, we set up here with sandbags, and we put target right down the bottom of the woods there. And this is where we zero our rifles to make sure we can get really good kill shots on the right sort of distance for deer. You can't get a mortgage on it because it's land, so which does mean it's not open to everyone financially. It is bloody difficult, but there are so many people out there with that amount of equity in their house that they could buy a patch of land if they sold it. Like, you know, you got a house that's worth 300 grand nowadays, and if you sell it, pay off the mortgage, some people will have 30-40 grand equity, you know, which will buy you 2 or 3 acres somewhere, and you know, you can do something with that. But so like, it's quite common for people to come here and look around, kind of get the green eyes of envy, because it is a paradise to live in and grow your kids up. But you know, the weird thing is we're here living like this because we couldn't afford a real house in a real place on grid. We're here because we couldn't afford that lifestyle, and we can afford this one. So yeah. Even if we moved back into town, I'd take the house off grid, like I'd do without. I'd just put solar on the roof. Water would be difficult, but like, if it meant I didn't have to put up with their nonsense again, I'd just buy it or go and get it out of the stream in barrels and put it in the back garden. I could not be doing with them anymore. But yeah, so that's how I feel anyway. Like, if we couldn't have afforded this house, we would still be living in the caravan. And had we not got planning permission to do what we did, and then we'd be kicked off this and lost all our money, which, you know, could quite easily have happened, I think we'd probably like be living in a caravan and just going lay-by to lay-by or something like that, because once you've had a taste of the freedom of getting away from all that, you never go back. But I do understand that it's like seriously hard to contemplate making that break. So I work 3 days a week, and my wife works 2 days a week, and that's it. So Gemma does, she works at like a farm school where they teach kids that are on the verge of being expelled from school or got certain difficulties. She teaches them farm skills, and then I work as a woodsman. So I kind of, during the winter time, I coppice woodland, plant trees and lay hedges, and then in the summertime I kind of do so any wind-blown stuff that people have had down in their woods and stuff, I'll log that up for them for their firewood. And kind of other little odd jobs about for people. But yeah, literally I do 3 paid days work a week. Gemma does 2, and that's literally it. The rest of the time we're kind of here. We try and keep the weekends as weekends or as like family job days. So all 4 of us will generally be here at the weekend. That's when we'll muck out the goats, muck out the ponies, do the sheep's kind of feet and that sort of stuff. And then on the Mondays and Fridays when I don't work, I homeschool Rafferty, and then on the days when I'm at work, Gemma's at home, she homeschools Rafferty. So although like it's nice that I only work 3 days a week, I do work 7 days a week because it's unbelievable how much work somewhere like this takes. But you know, it's not work if you enjoy it, is it? So we'll head inside to my humble abode. Right, so this is the utility room. We got, you know, sink with running water, fridge, freezer, and then behind the dog's bed we've got our 2 water pumps behind the mop bucket and the broom. So we've got 2 water pumps in there. So in there we've got the 3 batteries and the setup for all the where all the fairies work for the electric, because I don't know how that works, but that's like the off-grid stuff. That's the boring bit though. And then so through here, we've got like a big open plan. We measured it out on the ground, but I didn't really envisage how big it was. I was kind of thinking it was going to be a little kind of cabin. And then when they put the panels up on the first day, I was like, fuck. We got one wood burner that heats the whole house. We've never been too cold in the 3 years we've been in here. Some of the winters have been pretty cold, but the house has always been warm. We can cook on the top of here as well. So during the winter when the wood burner's on, we do all our pizzas, roast dinners, everything get done in the top of there. The vaulted ceiling was literally just because we could. We didn't need another room upstairs because we've got 2 kids. They got 2 massive bedrooms and a bathroom. So we just thought it'd be nice just to have the space really. We lived in a tiny little townhouse and then moved from there to an even smaller caravan. So we just thought it'd be a bit luxurious and have a nice open space that we can't clean, where the spiders can live. So up here we've got, in the ceiling is Rafferty's bedroom is above us, and that's kind of like the full length of the house down to the kitchen. Then they've got a small bathroom and my daughter's bedroom. The house is built out of SIPS panels, so it's like, I think it's 4x2 tannalized timber with 100mm Celotex insulation in between it, sandwiched then by this, which is OSB, which is like the cheapest 8x4 sheet of ply you can, or sheet of mashed up timber you can buy. And then when they're all sandwiched together and nailed from both sides, it makes it very structured, very strong building. The reason we've done it like we did, because it was cheap and it was quick. We lived in a caravan, we had young kids, the roof was leaking. Like we just thought, no, just get it built. And actually, it's worked out pretty well. It's really warm, and it's really solid, and it's really spacious, and we really like it. So this is Crumble. So Crumble was born yesterday, and her mum decided she didn't want to feed her, so Crumble's come indoors to live with us until she's strong enough to go out with the other goats. Yeah, so kitchen, pretty standard kitchen really. Kitchen sink, electric kettle, electric toaster, gas oven, air fryer, which is the done thing nowadays, plenty of storage. This all just came, this was from IKEA. Kitchen table is from IKEA. All the chairs are my collection of antique West Country Windsor chairs. Yeah, it's all totally off-grid. Literally, we were told we need 24 solar panels and I think 5 or 6 batteries to run a normal house off-grid. We got 3 batteries and 15 panels, and we've never struggled. Runs like a normal house all year round, and it's cheaper. It's like, it was cheaper to build. 50 grand they wanted to connect to the grid for electric. Like, that's not even including water. Water would have been another 20 or 30, I expect. Then you get the bonus of a bill every month as well. So why would you bother when you don't really need to? Yeah, so nice, big, posh windows. These were like our expensive windows because all the others are just cheap UPVC, but we wanted at least something nice. So we spent out a bit on these nice aluminium windows. It went extravagant. They're only what normal people would have anyway, but we wanted to make the most of the view. So all that land there was my great-great-great-great-grandfather's land, and I didn't know that when I bought this place, so that's quite cool. And everything else is pretty bog standard really, you know, sofa, chairs, cabinet full of spells and skulls. My artwork.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Well, it gets boring. I haven't got a telly.
Is that like chalk?
So this is done with charcoal. That was done with charcoal from my own charcoal from the wood, which is quite cool. And then the rest of that's pastel, and a couple of oils and that over there. But this is my little corner. So got my little antique stools, which I quite like. Collection of skulls. When I'm out tree planting, walking through the woods, we can't find little bits of antler. This is Rafferty's piano, which is disgustingly dirty, but he's really good on it. I can't play anything. Great grandmother's kettle, which was bought in the parish from 2 colonels when they fell on hard times and has never left the parish. And then these were my great-great-grandmother's jugs. So yeah, bathroom. It's pretty bog standard, really. So yeah, toilet, sink, running water. So that's the pump kicking in. It's quite quiet. bath, normal bath, and then a nice view of the woods. I think when you start living closer to nature and you forget the outside world exists, and you have to start thinking about where you're getting your food from, where you're getting your heat from, and stuff like that. Like, it's primal, it's within us. And people say, like, when you move out here, you become quite disconnected, but I think you get disconnected living within the system. Like, when you come and live somewhere like this, and you have to see death, and you have to kind of go out in the woods in the freezing cold and cut your own firewood so you're warm in 2 years' time and stuff like that. It's what we're meant to do. It's natural. It's kind of, and it feels good. We're not self-sufficient. Like, it's very difficult to be self-sufficient. So for me, like, that's still on grid. Like, off grid for me would be living in the woods. No one knows you're there. You know, like making your own clothes out of animal skins and stuff like that. But the draw of kind of being away from all of the bullshit that comes with living on grid, like just the kind of the control they have over your life of, I mean, I think the biggest problem for everybody that's thinking about this sort of life is bills, you know, non-stop bills all the time just keep you from that goal. When you see that opportunity, you'll know if it's the right one for you, but when you see that opportunity, just go for it, because worst case scenario, you can just go back to living on grid. But I would nearly guarantee you that once you've kind of smelt that freedom and escaped and realised that you don't need all the money you had, and you don't need all the possessions you had, and actually you can live much simpler, happy life. Like, I've got this thing that really bugs me. It's the way we value money so much that we value it more than time. So the one thing none of us can buy is time. So for instance, like when I'm working in the woods, I might charge £20 an hour, which is fine, but for all the time I'm at work, I'm away from my family, I'm away from my kind of home comforts, I'm away from the stuff I enjoy, even though I do enjoy working in the woods, and I'm trading that for £20 an hour, or like some people might charge £30 an hour, or even if you're like my solicitor and you charge nearly £200 an hour, that's great, like it's good money. But imagine if you had a clock and it was kind of like winding down, and you looked at the clock and like, I don't know, my clock might only have 2 hours left on it. Would I still only charge £20 for those hours, you know? Or if your clock's got a year left, how much do you start charging for your time then, you know? But we haven't got that clock. So I think it's like, I think people need to reevaluate their lives and think, you know, what can I cut out of it, possession-wise, to replace it with time with the people I love, because that's the most important thing in life, isn't it? And none of us know. And I just find it really bizarre that nowadays we kind of value money over time. But that's my take on it. I hope it's been useful to people to see what we've done here. I hope you've enjoyed hearing my story. Thank you for watching.
Alright guys, we hope you enjoyed that video, and a big thanks to Paul for sharing his story with us and showing us around.
If you're liking what we're doing with the channel and you want to support us, give us a like and a comment and a subscribe. We've got a Patreon going as well, which if there's enough interest, we'll start to do behind the scenes footage and extras and things like that. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks to Paul. See you in the next video.